girls, grab your beers.
Hey everybody, this is Charlie from Anthrax, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle.
This is Mark Metcalf, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio.
You are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio. Yes, Kato Kalin listens to this all the time.
Welcome to today's Boondoggle. Now here's your host.
I am Monty Heath, so one Heath, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle.
Hey, what's up? It's John from Skillet, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle on Domain Cleveland Radio.
Fasten your seatbelts.
What's going on, everybody? It's Bill Bailey with today's Boondoggle. And real quick housekeeping note, if you are watching us on YouTube or Rumble, BitChute, or Odyssey, please hit that follow and subscribe button. And if you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple, Google, whatever podcast platform you're utilizing, please hit that follow and subscribe button so we can continue to bring you conversations like the one I'm bringing you today. I got a house in my house. Talking with David Greathouse, longtime friend of mine and creator of all things blood, guts, and horror.
Yeah. Yeah. A couple other things too.
Yeah. So we'll got to get into all that, but good to have you here.
Thank you.
We've
been talking about it forever, so, I was obligated. So here I am. You got me.
All right. So I got to take advantage of the time here. But usually when I have somebody on for the first time, I like to get a quick background story. So do you remember as a kid what you originally wanted to be when you grew up?
Yes, a monster.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
So monsters have always been...
Yes, since probably 3 years old.
And what was...
yeah.
What was the...
You can't explain, what or where, but it just happened. And it was encouraged by my parents and my grandparents, fed into it, by gifting me monster magazines and comics and toys and allowing me to watch all the movies. But, there was just a sympathy I had for the classic monsters. We're talking Frankenstein, Dracula, the Wolfman. Continue on, the list, but that's what I started off as interested in as a young child, and then wanting to play those characters by seeing the magazines and knowing, there were actors. I knew Christopher Lee, I knew Boris Karloff, and those are the guys that I wanted to be as a small child.
Oh yeah. Christopher Lee, man, what a legend.
Well, absolutely.
He was he was probably my all-time. I mean, Bela Lugosi was the classic, original Dracula, but Christopher Lee was the one that me growing up, he was Dracula.
All right, on. Okay, that's a good debate. That's a good debate to have.
Yeah,
Bela versus Chris, they're both wonderful, but yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
absolutely. He brought his own style to it, and he's one of my favorites too.
Yeah,
just a human being. He's one of the greatest human beings ever.
Oh,
Christopher Lee.
Got a chance to?
I've seen him on stage talk with a small crowd. So I was lucky of that.
Nice.
To be, in a small hall listening to him, but I never officially met him.
Okay.
But I would love to, certainly. But
yeah, definitely a legend, man. So the monster magazine, I remember the old monster magazines too, getting into that, kind of telling the stories, like the comic books that told the old horror stories and stuff. But you were talking about the sympathy you had too, the Frankenstein monster, a lot of people, never looked at it from that aspect. We're all more the villagers,
Right.
It's still to life this day, but you had a sympathy for, the monster, something that kind of didn't ask to be.
Yeah. Yeah. All of them, certainly, not so much Dracula, although he had his his curse.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Wolfman, King Kong, Frankenstein,
Oh, yeah.
they were all very sympathetic characters, you know. They were,
Oh yeah, I remember like crying, you know, when I first saw King Kong as a kid on, you know, Thanksgiving or whatever. And I used to play
oh yeah,
back in the day. It's like, what do you do? You know, you should be a monkey.
yeah,
You know?
yep.
But so yeah, so then early age you kind of got into monsters were your thing, and when did like creating your own?
Well, I have another fortunate event in life. Well, my aunt owned Starship Earth.
Oh,
so there was a link there.
Nice.
And they used to be on Broadway in the Slavic Village area where I grew up. And so I was in that store frequently, you know, as a kid. And, you know, they would have people in costume running outside the store, especially around Halloween. And, you know, it gave me like such a thrill to be in that place. And so I started getting makeup from them, you know. I mean, I was collecting masks already. I had, you know, rubber masks as a kid over the years that I would just save. And then around, probably around 10 years old, started messing with makeup, you know. And attempting to make a Super 8 film. A friend of a friend's family had a Super 8 camera, so we shot like a little bit in my basement of the Mummy, you know, coming at you, that real just basic stuff. But in your mind, you know, it's already out. You know, you've got like the stage, you have your actor in makeup, you have your camera. You know, that's it. You know, even though you're just playing essentially, but that's where that spark begins. You know, so immediately you become like a professional. As a kid, you know. So then I started doing haunted houses in my basement, you know.
Oh, nice.
You know, and then, you know, create hallways with sheets and cardboard, and you know, it's a creepy old basement anyways. And you know, you have your friends in masks and costumes that you had been saving and makeup and such, and that became a huge hit, you know, in my neighborhood. People were coming to see my basement haunted house.
Nice.
And so then again, you know, you're already setting the stage for what you want to do, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I remember as a kid, I've shared this story with Matt Pinfield. I used to have a tape recorder, and like I'd watch Johnny Carson and, you know, late night shows, and I always kind of like you know, wanted to do my own show, be like a host or whatever, and then grow up listening to radio. You kind of want to do the DJ thing or whatever, but you know, as I got older, you know, I had those, you know, unfortunately, you know, my parents were trying to do what they thought was best, but like they talk you out of your dream, you know, you want something more secure and more real, and, you know, whatever. So, you know, here I am now at 50 doing a podcast, finally like living out my childhood.
It doesn't end, you know, that's, you know? That dream doesn't end, you know?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Yeah, you should, you know, continue it, even if it's not, you know, you make it rich or whatever, as you know, I think it's the pursuit of it, you know, what you're enjoying.
It's fun. You know, it feels like you're finally like doing what you're, you know, supposed to do. So you know, thankfully you had encouragement at a young age and support, you know. You
need a bit of both. You need some discouragement as well, you know, because I had that like from my dad, you know.
Okay, yeah.
But my mom was, you know, I mean, she was reluctant. I mean, also you got to realize like high school has a way of normalizing you, you know, when you start high school, you know, you got dreams to be a rock star, you know, and by the time you're out of high school, you know, they kind of normalize you in a weird way, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, that fallback plan, you know, get your education first, you know, you can always, you know, go back to your education, you know. So
yeah, so like how did that then like happen for you? Because you know, I mean was it in high school art classes where you really started pursuing,
you know,
hands-on craft?
You know,
I mean, you said you had the makeup as a kid.
Yeah, you know, art class was influential. It was because the first time sculpting with clay, you know, was an art class. So I actually, you know, sculpted, you know, little heads, you know, grotesque heads. So that was art class, you know, and that gave you, I also noticed what it gave you recognition from your peers, like people that normally maybe would not even acknowledge you. Okay. Because you're just a shy kid, you know, and all of a sudden you make this bleeding skull head. All of a sudden you're cool. Wow, look at that, you know. So that, you know, that helped my, you know, your self-esteem, You know,
yeah.
I was a
So
pretty good
social
artist. I was,
anxiety
good
stuff.
illustrator and, decent painter, but it, I wasn't like, Mr. Art School by any stretch of the imagination, I think, working at a haunted house at Bloodview at 15 was influential to me as well, because there was a lot of older people that were artists that had been doing it for years that, I learned from, a few other mentors in the neighborhood that I started doing special effects with. And, but yeah, a combination of all that stuff, a lot of failure.
Yeah. So, I mean,
obviously.
and then with the older guys too, it's like, they can kind of tell you, well, this is what didn't work for me, a little bit, but you still got to learn on your own.
Yeah. And
like
it's
you
also,
said, failures.
you meet someone that has a similar interest as you, which is rare especially back in our day, like if you found someone else that wanted to make monsters, for instance, or do haunted houses, or in a similar, guys in a band, or, you find someone, whoa, really? He plays drums? Oh, I got to meet this guy.
Yeah. We're looking
So
for
it's a
drums.
kind of a similar, and then you get in with them, and then immediately, your work just improves overnight, and your kids, you just like, anything's possible. You think about how far we advance in our knowledge as young people, within a year, you can become, be really good at something,
Yeah. But then, so, you work in the haunted houses. But did you ever like formally go to any kind of school for
No.
special effects?
No. There wasn't really, that didn't really exist so much. There was a school in Los Angeles that some good people had come from. And
I think now like Tom Savini has one.
That had just, that was
Pittsburgh
just starting to
and stuff.
creep in, but it was more industrial design. I think he had one curriculum off of it. And but now, there's plenty of schools, and Savini's and Pittsburgh is still flourishing. But no school, just working with people.
DIY, right?
The school really began in terms of professionalism was moving to Los Angeles. I did that at 21.
Okay.
And I immediately got into business and working with outrageously talented people.
Yeah.
That had worked on every movie you can name. Working alongside them, that's the school.
Who would you say was like one of your biggest like mentors out there?
Oh man,
that you like looked up to, and got a chance to work with.
Well, that's a list of names because I can't leave people out.
Yeah.
I mean, Dave Barton, Dan Rebert, Joel Harlow, Steve Johnson, Tony Gardner, the K&B guys. Blah 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 blah. I keep going on. Todd Masters. There's so many Bernie Eichholz. There's so many great guys that I worked with out in Los Angeles. It's amazing.
And would you say, there's everybody's trying to, you hear all the time about actors. Everybody's trying to get their big break, and they're waiting tables and they're doing whatever out there trying to, but how is the market with, getting in the special effects field for you? Was it easier?
Yes, it was easy.
Much easier.
It was easy then. It was also the golden age, the last gasp of the golden age, which was the 90s.
Yeah, what before CGI?
Yeah, and CGI was just creeping in and I knew that before I saw Terminator 2, obviously literally right before I went out there, and the writing's on the wall.
Yeah,
and it's still it just took.
While I can.
But it's been going. That's 20 plus 30. How many years ago now? 30 years.
Yeah.
30 years ago. So we're still alive, but a lot of guys did go to CGI. And a lot of guys went into more straight makeup, and some, took a completely different route altogether as well.
And then, some of the, we talked about a lot of the classics that influenced you as a kid, but then what are some movies that you got to then work on that or along the similar vein?
Yeah, in that era, it was a flourishing of films, one after the other. It was pretty lucky. rattling off titles: Return of the Living Dead 3, Freaked, The Usual Suspects, Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight.
Oh wow!
Shit. I mean, Tank Girl.
I saw that when I was like looking through your IMDb, and I didn't know you did Tank Girl. What
worked on the Ripper suits, the kangaroo people suit.
Oh,
Rippers,
nice,
you know,
nice.
so not their makeups. That was Stan Winston's crew, but Tony Gardner's Alterian Studios did the suits for it, and it was mostly foam latex running, you know, and patching and base painting and fabrication of some other.
Yeah, so you did correct me at the beginning when I said, you know, the blood and guts horror design stuff. I mean, you've also done costumes and.
Oh yeah, well, you know, I mean, the blood and guts thing. Yeah, there's more of that, and I love it. But yes, I mean, I think if you're an artist of any caliber, you know, yeah, you're doing many different things. You know, certainly, yeah, costumes, props, you know. Certainly.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, it's funny because I mean, we originally met through the Mushroomhead scene, and when you were working with them, but I was just like, oh, you know, and you did their mask designs and everything, and I was just like, oh, this is really cool. Had no idea the extent of the stuff you had done prior. I mean, I knew about, you know, then you were on the Sci-Fi Channel Face Off and stuff, but like I'm looking through and I'm like, dude, I talked to this dude, I hang out with this guy. I had no idea that you're all really like did so much in Hollywood until
you know. Well, I worked on those were, you know, I'm a crew, one of many crew, you know. I'm not designing, you know, the Ripper suits, those to my much brilliant artists. That was my, you know, young 20s, but just working on those sets, working on those shops, building all that stuff. Yeah, I was very lucky. All right.
Either way, your name's up there. You know,
yeah, it's some on the credits and some, you know, on the IMDb's. And it was great. I wouldn't trade it in for the world, certainly. You know, I got sidetracked in Ohio, though. You know, I came back to make a movie, a documentary, and I haven't really left. You know. Yeah.
So, I mean, but you've been going back. You know,
I travel, travel, go where the job is.
Ohio's home.
Ohio's home. Yeah.
And so let's first talk about like when, you know, you said 21 you went out there, but like you graduated high school, you're here in Ohio. You know, what was it that, you know, you decided, you know what, F it, I'm going to go out there and pursue this. Like, what were you doing after high school before you went?
After high school? I was working at Dave's Supermarket and Discount Drug Mart.
Okay.
That's what I was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was a stock boy.
Yeah.
At those stores.
And you just felt it. You knew. You're like, I was saving
up money. Man, my girlfriend wanted to be a rock star after high school. She went out there and encouraged me to come along for a visit. So she came back. She was out there for a few months. Came back and like, there was a Fangoria convention in Los Angeles, and I met, you know, I was just 18. I wasn't even 19 years old.
Yeah.
So I met all these guys, you know, guys I wanted to work with.
Yeah.
I met them all, and they were all great. And I had my portfolio. Hey, you know, and they said, you can work out here, but you got to move here. We're not bringing you out, you know.
This is before,
because there's a lot of people in the city that, you know, we have to, you know, hire from.
Yeah.
So it took me a couple years. It did.
Yeah, your stuff's hands-on. It's not like you can mail it in.
Well, it just to get the courage. Like I could have left that day.
Yeah.
When I'm 18 years old and been out there, you know. But
you kept the contacts.
Kept the contacts, good. And I just felt like I needed to improve my work. So what it did was it refocused me to pursue special effects and not go to college.
So yeah,
which I was considering.
Okay, and what were you considering?
Journalism, English. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna, you know, I like to write, and I still do. So journalism, writing, you know.
Nice.
That's it.
So you're, you know, stock boy at Dave's
and Drug Mart, yeah.
saving your money, and you're just like, all right,
save my money.
I'm gonna pull the trigger on this.
I still did Halloween events.
Your girlfriend was still out there.
No, she came back, and but she gave me the encouragement. Really,
Yeah.
she did. So I went out there, and immediately, that's my goal, and took me a couple years of saving money, and building up my work. I wanted to be decent, know how to make molds and things like that properly. So I worked on my
that
worked
was
on
your
makeup.
college, basically.
Yeah, and I focused on it, and finally did it. And it was hard. Okay, I mean, even though I landed working, it was tough.
You landed work, but at the same time, it's just like, wow, how much more expensive things are here, and what am I getting paid to,
It was mostly homesickness. Okay. Oh yeah. I had a hard, and I mean that ended obviously, but just little kid in a big town. I was from Cleveland, inner city kid. I was proud of that, but LA's like a different beast altogether.
Yeah.
So it took some getting used to.
I've seen a lot of, in my time in the military, got to visit a lot of places that everybody hypes up and stuff, and it was always nice to visit, but I was like, there's just no way I could live here, and it's like, and I'm not saying that, I mean, I was always Cleveland proud and stuff, but I'm not saying now at this age, I'm like, I want to stay close to Cleveland. I'm ready to go, but the big city stuff doesn't attract me. I'm more like, get me out in the, country, like,
okay,
kind of guy now or whatever. But, so you get the opportunity out there, you get to work with a lot of guys that you looked up to and, became mentors to you. But then you get the itch to come back home, but you kept like the relationships and in contact?
Yeah, it was still, I was still traveling, returning to Los Angeles. When I came back, it wasn't like a clean break,
Yeah.
I was still going back for work for a few years. And what I came back for was to make a movie. So, it was my next goal. I didn't want to stay on the path, of, makeup artist, I didn't want to. I wanted to branch out and try something different.
Okay. So yeah, let's talk about that then.
I wanted to shoot. I wanted to shoot with a camera. I wanted to edit, I wanted to make my own film. That was it. Not makeup. I wanted to be the cameraman, and direct. And
how much when working on the set, you were watching and kind of like learning and like, what I want it,
Well, the directing thing, again, I think starts before makeup does as a kid, because if you're putting on your play in your basement, you're directing it.
Yeah.
Right. So that was always in me to be the director, at the haunted houses, you direct the actors and, get them queued up. So it was more of a natural evolution. And most effects guys want to be directors, because they're visionary people, they are. They have a lot of imagination and skill and how, visually to sell something. So they want to be directors.
Yeah, and
they almost all do.
The key word too, imagination, is like something that, I mean, it starts in our youth, and it's just like, if we're lucky, the world doesn't suck it out of us. We get to keep that imagination,
Yeah.
And you've gotten to do, imagination. I mean, you have to visualize something and imagine it before you create it.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yes.
But to make it a reality, it's like manifesting, like they say, but you're actually physically would get these ideas and physically manifest, the bleeding skull and stuff like that, doing the work. But let's go back
to
the
scope changes. The idea is the same.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we say pretending, a bleeding clay skull head, wow, you're playing in the basement.
Yeah.
It's all the same, except the scope and the scale has gotten bigger. Dollars have gotten involved.
Yeah.
There's more money involved. There's more hard work. It's not just for fun time. You really want to create something that's good. And there's going to be a lot of fucking failures. Man,
Yeah. There's either, it's like back when I used to book shows. I was talking with some people last night about it. It was just like, man, I hated losing my ass, because you depend on it to be a success. And it's like, you're the one investing the money.
Yes.
These bands and people that are performing need to get paid, just like your crew needs to get paid. If there's not a return,
you got to have those.
A hard lesson to learn.
Oh, yeah.
But so you come home to do the
documentary.
Yeah, let's talk about the documentary. Like,
it's about the Legion of Terror, the acting troupe at Bloodview Haunted House.
Okay, all right. I was thinking of Justice League or something, but that was Legion of Doom.
Close. That's the Legion of Doom.
Yeah.
So I started off with the Legion of Terror, and as a young person, and I returned for a visit, and I saw a whole new cast of characters that influenced me. And I said, wow, I want to do a documentary on these guys. And it gave me an inside, because I was already a member and I'd already was an actor and knew everyone.
Yeah.
So turn the camera on you, on my friends, and learn that way, Sounds easy. It wasn't, but it sounds easy. And that took me, a long time, and I'm still on it. In some draft or another, Yeah,
it's a lot harder now. I mean, you do the editing and everything too,
Yeah.
It's like back then it was a lot harder.
Oh, yeah.
Say it's a lot easier now once you get the software down, but I don't know. I'm still intimidated by it myself.
It's all right.
Trying to learn it, but I should, for this,
Keep it simple.
Yeah. Yeah. But, so you do the documentary, how did you feel after accomplishing that? And then what was next?
Man, in between all of that, there was still, there was other projects that were just that I was involved with. I was still involved in the haunted house business, and, started an animatronic company with my buddy Ed McKenna, and I went back to Hollywood a couple times, managed Bloodview and other haunted houses, but really didn't change. What ultimately really changed my life again, which I was not expecting, was a band called Mushroomhead.
Yep.
And that happened, while I was doing this editing, I'm back in Cleveland, and I meet those guys. And that was like a whirlwind, because I wound up, not just creating their masks and makeups, but going on tour with them for years.
Yeah.
I did, over 300 shows with Mushroomhead, man.
And that's when you got to work more on your video.
A lot,
too.
that, man, I did it all. But yeah, video, I was videoing the shows, and, we started making the videos, DIY style, and I was involved with that, and then directing a few, and
so like volume 1 stuff like
all
that.
Volume 1 stuff, volume 2, the 1200 video, the video of the year, and Your Soul Is Mine on the Saw 6 DVDs, and and then so man, what a blast. And all those shows I did. So I was on the road, truck driving, video on the shows, doing the makeup, doing Jaeger shots.
Yeah.
It was all great. Absolutely.
Yeah, it was. I mean, man, I remember that. My stomach just turned when you mentioned Jaeger shots. But
it was a prerequisite. There was always Jägermeister.
Some of those back in the day. But yeah, so you were part of the crew. You were in the band, basically. You're another member. I remember during that time frame, and then the mask thing became such a, your mask became so unique and such a popular part of it that it ended up becoming something part of the merchandising thing for a while too.
Yes.
Oh
yeah.
So how did that, feel that,
it felt great, actually. The fans are getting around the world, and seeing it in magazines and,
Yeah.
on Hit Parader, which I'd read as a kid, and they're on the cover of the centerfold. I'm like, wow.
Like I forget, there's this one dude in, I forget what part of Ohio that has like the Mask Hall of Fame house or something like that,
right.
and a lot of those are yours, right?
Yeah, sure. There's, I mean, and obviously, they still move on. It's very successfully, the Mushroomhead mask lived forever. But, I'm very proud of the ones that I created, certainly.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So yeah, and then during that
made the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We had the Pumpkin. Rock Hall.
Yeah.
So come on.
I mean, the Halloween show's coming up, their annual, and you were a big part of that whole stage setup back in the day too. And a lot of the props on there. And I'm pretty sure they still utilize a lot of your.
I mean, I don't. It's always there. I think my fingerprint certainly always around, which I'm very proud of. And
left your mark like a handprint.
Mushroomhead.
Yeah, and then I know too during that time, then you got to bring them, or I don't know how that all came together with the movie The Rage.
Oh, that's another. Then like life changed again. Like okay, you think the Mushroomhead changed, and it did, and then I wind up with working with Robert Kurtzman.
Yeah,
he relocates to his hometown in Ohio, and immediately started working with him. And he was an influence from KMB and from Dusk Till Dawn and so many other things, Wishmaster, and I was like, wow, I'm working with Robert Kurtzman,
a legend in the scene, and another, and to find out he's another
Ohio guy, and he wanted to raise his family here, and had enough of the LA rat race, wanted to do independent stuff, and came home. And dude, that was like
how did you connect with him then? Or you had already over there? Or?
No, not necessarily. I mean, not directly. He had worked with people that I had known for half my life as well, so it's a small knit community of effects artists. And then, and Ohio has quite a few actually. So, you hear like, hey, Robert Kurtzman's coming, and then, well, who's working with him? My name's going to come up, eventually. Yeah. And it did. And I met him, and it was like immediately, like, it was like, you're staying here. This is your shop.
So, okay. So like he, when he was putting this movie together, he knew that you were in the area, your name came up, and he reached out to you, or was there like a application?
Al Tuskus. No, my old friend Al Tuskus, who I've known all my life as well, was an effects guy from Ohio, relocated to Los Angeles some similar time that I did. He wound up being friends with Robert Kurtzman. So my name came out of Al's mouth to Robert Kurtzman.
Nice.
And then there's no, that's it.
Yeah, so you get to meet.
So day one, it's like we're old brothers. I mean, we, the stories and the same influences, and we both did the LA scene. And I mean, he's a legend of the LA scene, certainly. I was just the underling, but KMB, defined the 80s, 90s special effects,
and was
to today.
Was that like his story, or he just, The
Rage?
Yeah.
He wanted to make an independent raw dog horror movie, and The Rage was it.
Okay.
So him and some writers cooked it up, and we filmed it locally.
And was the spot for Mushroomhead originally in there, or was that something you?
No, that was my influence.
Okay. Yeah.
So they had another band slate it, and it was going to be a big party. I'm like, you guys need Mushroomhead in here. And that's it.
Yeah,
I'm like
their stuff, and he was like, "All right."
Yeah. Well, it was like, come on, this is a no-brainer. And the last minute, Mushroomhead made the scene, set up the shop, and everyone fucking loved it. And the big strobe lights blasting, and everyone's in pig masks. It was great.
Yeah,
breathing fire, So that's how they got
it. A lot better. I don't know who else they originally had, but Mushroomhead for big party for that whole like.
Oh, it was great
scene. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, that belongs.
So then that began the relationship with us and with the studio and Mushroomhead. And we did a few other things right after that.
Okay, yeah. So that those videos were at his studio.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yep.
all right, nice. And then, you know, your time with when did the Sci-Fi Channel thing come up?
When was that? That was like 2010, 12, 2012, I think. I think it was 12. My girlfriend was on second season, and we watched the first season, and I heard of it. I was like, no, this is for up and comers, you know, not me. But I saw it, I'm like, wow, this would be a kind of a fun challenge.
Yeah.
She's a makeup artist. She auditioned and got it immediately. So she was on, I didn't even audition. She just got on season 2.
Nice.
So obviously, you know, I watch her do it and I want to do it, you know. So I got on season 4.
Nice.
Okay. I had to. It was something like it was going to bug me if I didn't, you know.
And was that like, I mean, is that another like, I'd say good, obviously good for the resume, but also, you know, brings you to a more, you know, because on the movie credits, it's just your name. A lot of people might not know who's, you know, David Greathouse, but now, you know, this.
Yes. You get like 500 friend requests a day.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. That kind of from Mexico and, you know, Japan and all, you know, everywhere in America, from children to grandmothers, you know, all watching that show, man.
Yeah.
There was a huge fan base of Face Off fans. And people really love that show. So
your stock shot up definitely after that.
Oh my God.
And then,
yes. Face Off.
You know, you were pretty busy before, but how did
it didn't change how busy I was so much. It really didn't. It changed how many followers you have.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, and in today's world, as I'm learning, like, because I was having this talk with some people last night, I'm like, dude, I'm not a TikToker. I'm not a content guy.
Right.
I'm not my daughters, you know, but they're like, if you want people to know about your podcast and follow you, it's like, even a lot of bands say, they're like, dude, we got to do all this social media stuff and
it's one on every platform. We got the Twitter, we got the TikTok, Facebook, so like, Instagram. It's exhausting.
And then I'm just like, here, you know, and I do a lot of stuff. I'm out places and I will post like pictures, but it's just like me talking about myself. It's just, I don't know. It's just never been my thing. But I guess, you know, if you really want to build the followers, it's consistency.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm trying to learn to be more consistent with that, but opportunity saved you a lot of, you know.
Well, I don't follow it. I mean, I'm not really on Instagram and I don't do TikTok, and so I'm not into that either, really, you know. I can't do it.
But I just want to do the work. A professional like Facebook profile then, or whatever.
No, I mean, no, I'm just me. No, just me.
Okay,
you know,
so
I don't have a sub page.
Legit.
It was me, my legit
personal
page,
one, and then all these people,
and then all of a sudden, you know, and just and you're getting messages, you know, from all states. You've influenced me. I love your character. If you're ever out in Colorado, fill in the blank.
Nice. And so then that
come to my haunted house. We want you featured at the haunted house. You know, I think if you wanted to be busy, there was like a flood of appearances that you could do at horror conventions and haunted houses primarily. Like you got a lot of invites to those.
That's what I was going to ask. So like, because there's so many people, like, you know, I was just talking about Naomi meeting her at Cinema Wasteland, you know, but they do the circuits. They do these.
Yes.
And they get paid to sit there and autograph some of their work and stuff like that. I mean, it's almost like, you know, that definitely extra the income and stuff. So now you're able to do those if you.
I did a touch of them right after the show. I did a touch.
And it's not your scene.
I'll revisit it one day, but I like to visit, but I don't want to live there.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, exactly. I like going as a fan and just not having to sit there and, you know.
Yeah, because it was fun. No, it was fun, especially, you know, immediately after the show when everybody's watching. It was a lot of fun. But no, I want to do the work. I want to be busy making something, basically, you know.
Yeah.
but there'll be a time for that, you know. And to all of those who do it well, my hat's off to you.
No,
you know?
yeah. I mean,
you know,
it's not a bad gig, I guess, you know, like Felissa Rose was here, you know, from Sleepaway Camp, you know, and got to talk to her. But it's like, you know, it's like when you're enough of, I'm sure they pay for your flight, your room, you know, they feed you, and then whatever the thing.
Those guys do well. The names that we're naming don't regret the weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Everybody comes home with cash in their hands.
yeah. But so all right, so then, you know, your stock goes up.
Wow.
You know, I guess so.
Stock going up. All right, that's questionable, but I get it.
But we're more attention's on you.
Yeah,
people know who you are now,
yes. A lot of grandmothers, a lot of children.
But so it didn't change anything with your work schedule with Hollywood or movies, though?
No, really, not really. No, a few extra calls, but nothing. You know, if I wanted to, it has helped tremendous amount of people that have been on that show. All right, they've all done very well. Most of them, they're the good ones, I believe, do really well. They were already talented and brilliant beforehand, and they were pretty much, I think, on the path anyways. So I mean, every story is different. But, and I wasn't interested in, you know, pursuing makeup really. You know, I want to do the special effects, but to do be a makeup artist is different.
Okay.
All right.
Gotcha.
Like, you know, if you say blood and guts, to come in and kill someone violently for a day is one thing, and that's a lot of fun, and that involves makeup. But you're not doing your makeup every day, you know. The Bill Bailey powder foundation before you go on air, you know. There's a makeup artist for that. Yeah.
But for
monsters, special effects,
blood and guts, the stuff just flying all over or whatever. That takes more than
That's prep work. It's more engineering, you know, and you're engineering it and executing it on the day. It's different than being a makeup artist. Now they do cross over. Yeah. But makeup artist typically is a makeup artist.
Yeah, and that's the stuff that kind of just sits still and looks good on.
It could be, and you gotta remember, like most makeup artists, you know, tattoo cover up is big business.
Okay.
You know, corrective makeup, you know, beauty makeup. Okay. You know, that's the makeup artist, and they can do prosthetics as well.
But what goes behind the blood and guts, and there's more to it than, you know, to get the stuff exploding and flying and all that. That's more what you enjoyed.
Yeah, I still do. All right. Yeah. And I do love a good death scene, man. Yeah. That's exciting.
What would you say was you know, out of all the work that you've been a part of, what's one of your proudest death scenes?
Ooh, proudest. Oh my God. Wow.
It just came off like everything came off exactly how it was supposed to.
All right. I mean, I again, I don't want to go through a whole list of all my favorites because I have a few, but I'm going to name one thing I get a lot of kudos from is my friend Gary Jones's film, Escape from Death Block 13. We filmed it at the Mansfield Reformatory.
Oh, nice.
And I'm in it, and I get my head blown off in half. And people all come up to me and say, that's one of my favorite head explosions that I've seen.
Nice.
You know, it's not Scanners worthy, and it's not Dawn of the Dead, but it could be number 3, number 4. I get a lot of kudos, and it's because it's me. It also gets me a couple extra points, so I get to explode my head. So that one is one that comes back. But anytime that I do a good gore gag on a film, I'm real happy about it, certainly. Now, and it pulls, and it's successful.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times, sometimes it is.
Because then it's like, God, we got to retake this. You know,
the costumes destroyed. Yeah. And underwear soaking in blood.
Get that Laro money shot right on that.
Oh yeah, right away. You got one chance to get it, man.
And then, you know, I was like I said, reading through some of the other stuff that you've been on, and you know, they've been involved with, but it's kind of like a cult classic that doesn't get enough. I mean, the people that are in the know, but Tusk,
Tusk, yeah.
What you did?
I wasn't on set for that. I did I sculpted the. In terms of watching it all go down, yeah, that was amazing endeavor, creating that big ass walrus.
Yeah,
for real. That's no joke. But I was involved with the Justin Long prosthetic makeups, where he's sewn together. He's got his arm sewn to his body. I sculpted those, and he's missing his limbs, and I made those. I didn't go to set for Tusk though.
No,
but just prep stuff. But yes, that has a hardcore.
So when
following.
You're not at set, like where
you're building stuff like in the shop, you're sculpting it, you're molding it, you're fabricating it, you're making skins and pre-painting it, and then it gets in a box and it gets shipped to set.
Okay.
Now, typically, I do go to set for the projects most often. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that one I just didn't. It was conflicting with another project.
And then.
So then a makeup artist.
Yeah.
Glues it on.
Okay.
Right. Essentially.
All right. And then you mentioned Return of the Living Dead 3.
Yeah, that's a favorite of mine.
Yeah. What was
the gang sequence? There's several. It was split up among like 5 different effects teams. So there's like 5 groups of effects artists all doing Return of the Living Dead 3. They all had a series of characters.
Yeah.
So I worked with Kevin Brennan, who's a genius, and Dan Rebert, who's genius, and we did the gang that's riding around in the van, and they get bit, by Julie, and then the guy's head gets ripped off, and his spine is wiggling, and we did the gang. So there's like 4 or 5 gang members that are in this van. So anytime that they're in the movie, that's what we were involved with.
Okay.
But that one was great because we were filming around a Halloween, October, and it was in Los Angeles on the streets. It was night shoots or in a stage. And it was like that moment when you're on set and there's Hollywood lights, and you got the whole street of downtown LA blocked off, and you're in the middle of the street making up zombies and blood, and you're like, yes, this is what I signed up for. That was that movie.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And then one that I was watching recently with my kids, because their Uncle Chris and Uncle Jacoby were in it, was the Retaliators.
Yeah.
And I think I texted you afterwards because I seen your name in the credit. I was like, oh, I had no idea.
I'm in that one, too.
Yeah.
I get my head cut off.
Yeah.
So that's another great gag for me.
I was like, I know that guy.
That was a pickup. We got a call. They had already made the movie, but they wanted a third act, more violence in the third act. And I came in for some pickup shots about a week in Connecticut. And it was a lot of fun. And that one hit like right as COVID was like kicking in.
Yeah.
So like we finished and it was like isolation, or like the day after.
Yeah.
It was weird. But so that was like the last film I got in before the year of COVID, 2020, which sucked. But that was a lot of fun. And just blood, a lot of like freaks in the basement, and then killing them off. And this guy gets a machete in the head, and this guy's going to get a shovel, through his mouth, and just coming up with all these quick gags.
Now your scene was at that club or whatever, though, right?
No, I'm in the beginning at the van when the fog I'm in it twice actually.
Okay.
The van pulls up,
then it repeats,
and then there's the fog.
Yeah.
And then there's a creepy guy that comes out of the fog.
Okay.
That's me.
Okay. All right.
So there you go.
Yeah.
So I kind of like almost opened the movie.
Yeah. And then it goes back around.
Yes. Like how did this all happen?
Because I'm like, first I'm curious to check it out because of some of the main characters in the music world that are in it. Like you said, a couple of them I've been blessed to become friends with, and I'm like, let's check this out, and I'm watching the trailer, and I love the story they showed in the trailer. So because I'm a dad, and it's just like, Dirty Harry, or I'll, Charles Bronson, some shit if something happens to my kid too. But then it was just like, I was just like, what am I? Did I get the right movie?
Yeah.
It's like it goes in all these different places when that beginning scene with you then, and then then when it wraps back around, I'm like, what the hell am I watching?
Yeah. I watched it again the other day, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was good.
Yeah, I actually got it upstairs. I should have you
Nice.
autograph it for you before you take off.
Sure.
But yeah, so then, you know, we ordered that and watched that, and I remember, like, I think, like, right afterwards, because I seen your name, I shot you a message, just like, oh shit.
There was a lot of other effects guys involved with that one as well.
Yeah.
So I just came in for some juicy bits, and it was a blast.
And then so then, you know, COVID comes, and, you know, we're all kind of put on time out, but what was it like for, you know, you and your field?
Well, the field dried up completely, you know. I mean, another, you know, I'm involved in the Halloween business as well. That dried up, certainly. You know, people weren't going to we have trade shows where we generate business. So none of that was happening. None of it. The only thing that I had going for me was editing, and writing. You know, I could now write and develop things for the future. And
so thankfully you were already developing those skill sets before.
Yeah.
That happened.
Yeah.
So you still had
I was locked into editing and writing 100%. So even though it was financially and emotionally a tough year, you know, I was still brewing stuff.
But and I mean, and you were in Ohio the whole time.
Yeah, I stayed in Ohio.
Okay,
yeah.
So because you'd already been home for a while. So
Mhm.
All right, and then what's been? I mean, I know we're currently finishing something. You're getting ready to fly out for something else, and I don't know what you're allowed to talk about. But what was your first one? You know, what was your first thing back when things opened back up, or when it was? We were told we could go play again.
What was the first? I don't know what the first was, to be honest with you. Yeah, I'm not sure what the first project back out of the gate was. I mean, obviously, I think the haunted house business would have been first.
Yeah.
We do a trade show in St. Louis in March, so you know that kind of dictates how your year is going to go. So I'm going to say the Halloween business opening up probably was first.
Okay.
I'm sure I got another couple of others. I mean, then a flurry of films came in. You know, I was involved with Scare Package 2, and Obstacle Corpse, and I
think that was like a Cleveland band too. Named
Obstacle Corpse.
Yeah.
We filmed that in Columbus, and that's out on Amazon and Prime, and DVDs coming soon. And
nice.
The Pale Door, witches. That was pre-COVID, but it came out after COVID. Yeah, they start to blur like the timeline of recent films, but it picked back up and then hit the ground running. Yeah.
Now, I thought when we were talking, and like I said, I don't, you know, I mean, you told me at the beginning I could ask you about whatever because I don't want to get in any trouble with current projects or whatever. But you were when we were talking before, you know, setting this up, you were working something like it's like some sort of pandemic type.
Oh, that was Wormtown.
Okay.
We just finished Wormtown, shooting it, so that's a year away before, you know. But
Okay.
I'll just say it's chock filled with gory stuff, and
Okay.
it's going to be a lot of fun. So I just wrapped that literally last week,
Because
filming on it.
the way you were like describing it, I was just like, is he like on a set of some crisis actor event or something?
It definitely flirts with that subject, certainly, and you know, apocalyptic sign of things to come, maybe. But no, it was a very intense movie, and I don't. There's not much to say about it until they get it, you know, prepared.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a problem with like a movie we just finished filming, and like, well, when's it coming out? Well, I don't know, and it's always hot to talk about it like when the film is ready to be seen.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
like, what was that film you're talking about to me 2 years ago? You know,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
kind of thing. So we just finished shooting it, and they got a long way to go, but it's a fabulous movie, and I can't wait for everyone to see it.
And then I think you were saying you get ready to fly out again.
I'm not flying. I'm going to Michigan. I'm working on a
Michigan,
Sasquatch movie right now as
Oh,
well.
nice.
So that's my
Nice.
next project. It's called Squatch.
What part of Michigan, by chance?
Small
close
town
to-
south of Kalamazoo. That's all I'm going to say that I know. I haven't been to this location yet.
I have a musician friend that lives up near Detroit. He's originally from Canada.
Mm-hmm.
He was the drummer for Finger 11
Mm-hmm.
back in the day.
Yeah.
When Paralyzer, that song
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. He is a huge
Yeah.
Bigfoot Sasquatch guy.
Oh, right.
So I don't know if you guys need any extra work. I can refer
Oh,
him
my
your way
God.
or whatever.
They
I'm
are.
sure he'd love to be involved in that.
Wow. Yeah, there's some serious Bigfoot fans.
Yeah. It was funny because when we this summer I took my daughters to Gatlinburg for vacation, and we're up there in the Smoky Mountains, so there's all over. Speaking of Bigfoot, my little Sasquatch here, but I just missed it by a day. The Bigfoot convention. They had. We were in our hotel, right, but we walked past it. I was like, "Damn it!" So I took a picture in front of the sign. Like I was like all upset. Had no clue it was there, but yeah, Bigfoot. I mean, it's probably something that influenced you while we were growing up too. Is like the old In Search of shows with Nimoy,
Yes.
and then the Loch Ness Monster and the shady Bigfoot footage.
Yeah, the Patterson footage.
Yeah. So,
Absolutely. Oh yeah, anything supernatural I was interested in, and In Search of. Man, they don't make them like that anymore. There's a million shows like it, but nothing has the power that In Search of had. You know?
Yeah, exactly. And then speaking of people that are like-minded and grew up with same influences, and we're all in kind of the same stuff. But do you ever do any work with Eric Friedman?
Eric Friedman, who's that?
He owns the House of Wills.
Oh yeah. No, I've heard of him, and I'm a fan of House of Wills.
He used to do the flesh suits, I guess. Somebody bought it. Somebody from maybe it was Lady Gaga or somebody bought one of his works to wear on the red carpet or something.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's I've
heard of him, but I'd like to like to meet him.
You guys.
Definitely want to see the House of Wills.
Yeah. I've had Eric on. I've been friends with him a long time.
Nice.
So there's actually, I'm going to a movie premiere next Saturday in Medina that my friend's son just finished, and the majority of it was filmed at the House of Wills. So I think Eric was supposed to be there or something too. But I should definitely connect you guys. So I can see you guys collaborating on some projects sometime down the line. But yeah, I know we're running short on time here, but what other goals or projects do you have on the horizon? Or is there, you talked about you created, then you wanted to direct, you started doing the film and editing and then the writing. Anything else on the horizon that you want to try and dip your toes in?
I want to continue. I want to get better at the writing and directing. Certainly, that's more of that's coming. I have a feature film to debut soon. I don't have an announcement news to break to you right now.
Okay,
but
no name or nothing.
Mama Zuze.
Mama Zuze. All right,
that's the name. It's filmed in Africa, Zambia.
Okay.
And it's my script and my directing. And
it's legit filmed in Africa?
Yeah.
The African
Zambia.
Yeah. Oh, nice, man. All right. Sweet.
So that's my next debut. It's coming soon.
Can we expect like a Cannibal Holocaust type of thing?
PG rated.
Oh, okay.
Can you believe it?
Yeah.
Not a drop of blood.
All right. Nice.
Not one drop. Actually, there is a drop. There's a drop of blood. There's a drop. That's it.
I happened to cut my finger on
exactly.
On
it's a finger cutter. No, I'm real proud of the movie, and I can't wait for people to see it. We just got to secure a deal, and I got to finish it up and get it out. And it'll be sometime next year.
Yeah, when you plan on doing like the viewing.
We'll have a screening here in Cleveland, certainly,
right.
And I'm gonna let you know.
All right.
And I want you to shout it out.
Yeah, for sure.
And I want all my friends to come.
feeling like important getting invited to these movie premieres just locally now.
Yeah.
You know?
And then after
Yeah,
that,
dress
it'll
up
be
fancy.
available on streaming and networks and DVDs, hopefully,
Yeah.
this next year. Yeah, guaranteed.
Nice.
Guaranteed happening, man.
Nice.
I just don't have any big groundbreaking announcement today.
Well, I mean, just that alone.
I'm close, but
Yeah.
no, it's not ready.
Just that alone is
So
you know,
the movie's
something.
coming soon, and then hopefully I can get on a string of doing a couple more. I still love doing the effects, and I still like being scary, and but I want to write and direct some other projects.
Have you now talking with the old you know, the old days collaborating with Mushroomhead? Have you been worked with Stitch at Nightmare?
No, I visited Nightmare this year. It's fabulous. You know, I was in the Mushroomhead video last year. You know, still great pals with Skinny and all those guys.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sure we're going to work on something again. I know it, whether it's Mushroomhead related or not. You know, my old best friend Joe Gall's playing guitar in the band.
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
He's been my friend since '96.
Oh, nice.
I mean, you know,
And who was he? Who he used to play with before?
he was a guitar whore. He's been around. He never hit it big, but he's played with a dozen bands. You
Okay.
know,
I thought there was somebody local that
He's-
I would have knew him from.
not.
But-
You probably will.
Yeah.
you will.
But yeah, well, so I mean, I talked with him at Inc. And, you know, saw where we saw each other last,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, yeah, Skinny just did me a solid. Were you at my welcome home?
I missed it. Yeah, I was invited, and I thank you for the invite, but I didn't know I wasn't
Yeah,
there.
at Peabody's and
Yeah.
216 and whatever, and my buddy Carlos that I
Oh,
served
no.
with.
It might have been now.
Um,
I'm thinking now. Maybe I was.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm thinking.
I was there
might be
physically, but I don't
That's-
remember
it's
being
one
there
of those
mentally because that was
Peabody's.
like one of my last blackouts. But
yeah, Peabody's, man.
my buddy Carlos, who I served with over in Kuwait, flew up for it and got to get exposed and to Cleveland music and loved it. Had the time of his life. Well, he lives in Dallas now, and Mushroomhead just played there. And I hit up Skinny. I was like, "Hey man, can you put Carlos and his wife on the list? Let him come out to a show," and he did. And
Yeah,
had a blast, man.
Right.
So I appreciate that.
right on.
You know, still do cool things like that. But yeah, so I guess before we get ready and wrap up, let me ask you a couple of questions I normally ask the guests I have on here. So I think we covered everything like then and what you got coming up. And you said you don't really do the social media thing.
No, I'm on
too
Facebook,
much, so
but
it's like,
no, I'm not.
You know, people want to follow
blasting.
your work. There's no.
You can find me on Facebook. That's
Okay.
all. David Henson Greathouse. So I'm out there.
And then we talked a little bit about, finishing school before going out into the world, but what class do you feel should be mandatory before graduating high school today?
I think civics class. I
Yeah,
think that would be a good one to bring back.
bring
right?
back yeah,
civics.
Exactly.
You know, get involved with how the world works. You know, America works, and I think is a good one. Man, you're gonna open up a whole can of worms there. I don't know. I'm not a school person, but like, you know, home ec. People don't do home ec anymore.
Yeah.
You know,
Nobody knows how to be independent.
nobody, you know, don't
self-sufficient
know how to
anymore,
cook or
you know?
sew, and like those are some
You
good
can
things.
smell
to learn.
upstairs. My daughter's cooking. something.
Exactly, that's home ec
So,
learning.
Yeah,
So home ec is a good
we're
one.
trying to do it right here.
You know,
One thing I get a lot
Ooh.
from, especially the musicians, is like taxes and money stuff. You know,
yeah,
it's like they sign their
exactly.
contracts and they don't know,
right, right.
trying to make ends meet. You know,
Yeah,
it's like they don't want us to know about how to spend they want us to know how to spend money, but they don't want us to know how to
right.
save it, invest, and all that good stuff. And then I know you don't like leaving people out, and it doesn't just have to be, in the world of, mask making and movies and all that stuff. Just you in general as a person. Who's 3 people that have inspired you and you can credit for making you who you are today?
3 people. Interesting. Woo. Well, okay. If we're talking about, oh my God, we're talking about Bruce Lee had a lot to do with my upbringing as well. You know, I was a martial arts fanatic as a kid, and
nice.
and read a lot of books about Bruce, and his quotes have always still inspire me.
Oh,
you know, he was very influential. Boris Karloff, I'm going to have to say him because he was the man behind the makeup for me. I'm going to say rock and roll. I'm going to have to say even though Kiss was my first band that was truly mine, but I really became in love with rock and roll at an earlier age, and it was with Elvis.
Nice.
So Batman, can I throw him in there?
You can throw
Batman's
Batman in there,
important
too. Yeah. Now you mentioned martial arts.
Yes.
Did you
I was
go on and do
jujitsu.
some
I was jujitsu
Oh, really?
for 4 years.
Okay, nice.
But
That's
beyond
what
even
my daughter do that now.
even after I got out of jujitsu, I got tired of getting beat up.
Yeah.
Moving into
feel
different things like beer, heavy metal, girls, cars.
Yeah.
Fuck going to the gym and
Yeah.
getting kicked in the back again and
Yeah,
choked out.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but martial arts was a big deal in my life, and staying fit and positive mind and discipline and self-defense. The ballet of watching it.
Yeah.
You know, for the movies, Boris, because Frankenstein was my main dude.
Yeah, the first monster you sympathize
And
with.
rock and roll is just as important to me as movies.
Yeah.
And Alice Cooper's up there, certainly.
Oh yeah.
But I'd say, you know, Elvis was my first like rock and roll icon. So I want that's in Batman, because you could be Batman if you tried really hard enough. Like the opening of the comic said, if you work out, you had rich parents.
Yeah.
You could be Batman.
Yeah.
He was a superhero that you could attain to being.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like the idea of a crime fighter, someone that took care of the neighborhood, a vigilante style.
Yeah.
All right. Not with a guy with a gun, but a guy that wore a mask that kicked your ass if you're bad in the neighborhood. I really aspired to be that guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Batman.
Like, I mean, I'm a fan of Frank Castle, Punisher and stuff, but yeah, you know, Batman, you know, he
right.
left a lesson for you
Yeah.
to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are my guys.
And then, are there any organizations or causes and stuff that you support and encourage others to check out?
Not directly. Okay. They're all noble causes. I mean, every cause has a sense of nobility behind it. So find your own. If I could do anything to help, like a magic wand, you know, there's so much.
Yeah.
You know. I wish kids would stop killing each other. If I can change one thing, I think, and I'm not talking about gun laws. I'm talking about
What makes you so angry and so to the point where
I'm just talking, you know, inner city street violence.
Yeah.
I wish I could fix. Poverty.
Like
you know, we're going on, you know, on and on and on, and then it spirals. You know,
there's like a lack of like hope. You know.
Yeah.
When there's no hope, what the heck?
Right.
We're
right.
You know, and there's no light at the end of the tunnel. You know,
Yeah.
when we talk about that positive mindset and discipline.
Yeah.
You know, when that's like completely lacking.
Yeah.
And you're hopeless, and it's just like, what's the point? I'm just going to be I want to die anyway, so I might as well take some others with me or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, type of thing. sad.
Right.
Very sad.
Right. That's a bigger topic, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
It involves a lot of involves education, involves jobs, it involves parenting, you know.
Mhm.
There's so many elements to it that I'm not a parent, you know. I'm not a teacher, you know. I'm not a coach. But you know, I just that's so.
Yeah.
But there's so many others. Obviously, you know, I'm a sensitive person, and you know, want the best for people, and so. But no, I don't have a direct cause that I'm behind.
All right.
Okay.
And then on a cheerier note, favorite toy as a child.
Ooh, favorite toy as a child. Okay. The classic G.I. Joe. You could say with Kung Fu grip. The classic G.I. Joe figure was a favorite, and I'm going to also say the Evel Knievel motorcycle.
Yeah. It's
Wow.
like one of the top number one.
Love that
answers
thing.
I get. Yeah.
So I loved Evel Knievel as well.
I think that was
so-
one of Don Fuss's too. You know,
Really?
favorites, yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
But G.I. Joe represented, as a small child, a sense of like security in some ways, you know, as well. Like
Yeah.
the tough guy, you know, like that was who you could be again. You could have a scar across your cheek and a nice beard.
Yeah. Fights
know,
for freedom.
And
wherever
wear
there's
your
trouble.
camouflage.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, the G.I. Joe guy and Evel Knievel. Let them
Nice.
duke it out.
Nice. And then any message that you have for our military members currently serving overseas?
God bless you. God bless you. Man, oh man.
Nice. Well,
The best I can say.
yeah. And you know, I know you got to get somewhere else, but
Yeah.
man, I'm glad you
Dude,
we were able to do this, man.
absolutely.
Appreciate you
Thank
coming
you for
over.
inviting
man.
me, man.
Yeah, no,
Thank
this was
you.
fun, dude. I learned a lot more about you, and that's why I love doing this stuff, you know. So you know, hopefully you know, I'll connect you with you know, Eric. We'll stay in touch. Let
Yeah.
me know when your stuff's coming out. But like you said, if anybody wants to check you out, they can just find you on Facebook.
Find me on Facebook.
Awesome. All right, House man. Thanks for coming.
Out.
Appreciate it, dude. See ya.